Minister of Education, and I just want to know that you've been doing an outstanding job in education, and our children, I think, are incredibly well prepared for a great future success. As we've talked before, National has been working incredibly hard to get our schools back on teaching the basics brilliantly, and so we can set our kids up for a better future. When we entered office, half of our kids weren't at school regularly. We had 80% of our 13-year-olds not where they need to be at on maths, and almost half not where they needed to be at on reading as they entered into high school. Now, in just 2 short years, we've actually achieved a huge amount. We've mandated an hour of reading, maths and writing in school each and every day. We've banned the cell phones use at school, and we've stopped new open plan classrooms. We've refreshed the English and maths curriculum to ensure that our children are learning the fundamentals of each subject each and every year. And we've mandated structured literacy in all primary schools, an evidence-based approach that's paying some huge dividends for us. The results actually speak for themselves. 58% of our new entrants are now at or above reading expectations, up from 36%. And the number needing more support has actually decreased from 52% to 33%. And in our maths tutoring pilot earlier in the year that Eric and I spoke to, we've put some concentrated effort, particularly on kids who are a year or more behind in mathematics. We've seen students making up to 1 to 2 years progress within a 12-week consolidated period. So there's no doubt about it, education is a critical part of our future going forward in New Zealand. Building out a world-class education system is absolutely critical for us achieving a step change in the New Zealand economy, but also enabling investment in digitalisation, technology, and ultimately creating the higher paying jobs we all wish to see and experience so that we can lift our collective quality of life. We are super excited for the Kiwi kids' futures, and it's an important part of our program to make sure that we take parents along the journey with us. And with that, I'll pass off to Erica to talk about the announcement we'll have today. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Look, it's great to be here at Cockle Bay Primary for what is a really exciting announcement, because on the campaign trail, I remember with the Prime Minister in waiting at the time, we talked a lot about the importance of involving parents in their children's learning journey. We talked about the need for clear, detailed, concise and nationally consistent reporting, and a nationally consistent way of assessing our young people through primary and intermediate before they get into high school. And today I'm announcing that we are delivering that this year. So from this year we will be rolling out our new assessment tool that we bid for in Budget 25. It's called SMART, and it is a twice yearly light touch, low stakes progress monitor for students from year 3 to year 8 in reading, writing and maths. And it allows us to get a nationally consistent picture of student achievement over time for the first time in this country's history. And it is on the back of ERO, the Education Review Office, reporting for many years, in fact the best part of a decade, that we need a nationally consistent snapshot of how our children are progressing. And it's also based on the work that the New Zealand Assessment Institute have done, also calling for nationally consistent assessment and reporting. And also the Auditor General from last year in 2024 also called for a nationally consistent way of monitoring student progress. And so we are rolling that out this year. We've already tested it with about 185 schools, and 12,000 assessments have been completed. And we're really excited to roll it out this year. What it will mean is that parents will get a really good idea of the progress in reading, writing and maths, and the individual strands within reading and writing and maths, so that they know how their children are doing and how they can help at home. And it will be clearly laid out on their report card, which we have got some templates we've given to the media to show them what those report cards need to include and may well look like. Many schools already report in this detail, but we want to make sure it's consistent across the country so parents are getting a really great idea of how their children are doing, importantly, so that they can be part of that learning journey and help at home. And you may remember last year we announced and launched the Parent Portal, which has all of the resources on it and the curriculum loaded up so parents can see what their children are learning, and then how they can help at home with a whole lot of resources. This really is a partnership between schools and parents so that together we can all raise student achievement. It also gives the government a really great nationally consistent picture of where we're tracking, so we know where to put resources. So when children are behind or when they need extending, we can flood those resources into schools, whether they are the literacy intervention teachers, the maths intervention teachers, the pilots that we run on reading, writing and maths to make sure that students are where they need to be so that when they head to high school they've got every chance to succeed and live the life that they want. So very exciting announcement, and parents this year will see the difference in their report cards that they receive. And with that, we're happy to answer questions.
Yeah.
Minister Stanford, Prime Minister. Look, your government has previously stated that your education reform is all about simplicity. It was particularly a standpoint with NCA and criticism of it. How do these 5 new indicators define simplicity? Are they going to be easier for parents to understand?
There will be descriptors of each of those indicators, clearly outlining exactly what each one means. It'll be nationally consistent, so it doesn't matter if your child changes schools or they go to intermediate, you'll get the same descriptors of your child's progress. It's also aligned perfectly with the SMART tool, so the SMART tool will also use those exact same descriptors. And we worked with the sector, so they helped us to come up with the names of the descriptors, but also gave us some really good feedback. We started with 4 descriptors, and the sector very clearly said, actually, this is how many we need and this is what they need to say. So it was really a collaborative effort with the sector.
And is it a grading system? Like, say if a parent gets a report back and it says that their child is emerging rather than proficient, like, should they be worried about that? How does that work?
It's all explained on the report cards, and it's really important for parents to know, and this will be explained on the parent portal and all of the communications to parents from schools, that every year your child starts school and they're learning new material. They're not going to be exceeding from day one because they're just learning it. So you would expect, and it shows that on the report card, that each year you start, and you might be just emerging and then consolidating, and then you move to proficient over the year, and you might be exceeding at the end of the year. You go to the next year and you start back at just starting again at the beginning of that because it's new material. So, but at the very bottom of the report card, it gives you a snapshot over time through the years, so you can see your students' progress over time as they work their way through. So it's really important for parents to note that during the course of the year, of course, you move from a novice to a master, and then you start again the next year when you've got new material.
Yeah, it's a new thing that schools will be taking on. There's a lot going on. We've got a new curriculum being rolled out. Do you worry that schools are taking on a bit too much?
Schools have been asking for this for a really long time. In fact, last year they were asking me over and over again, when are we going to get the progress descriptors, when are we going to understand how to report against the new curriculum, and how does the tool feed into that? So we have made sure that we've broken it down piece by piece, the new curriculum, the reporting to parents and the assessment tool all being rolled out sequentially so that they build one on top of the other, and they're all coming together this year.
And in terms of how students are doing, the co-requisite tests, it shows that there's still about 15% of year 12s at the end of last year who didn't pass, and there's a risk that they'll go on and leave school with no qualification at all. Are you concerned about that?
Look, it's really important to note that the longer the students stay at school, the more chance they have of getting the co-requisites, and we see that throughout. It's worthy of noting this year that the jump in achievement at year 11 was quite substantial, from 70 to 73.5%. So a lot of students are now getting that co-requisite earlier on, but we know as the longer they stay, in fact 90% of them are getting it by year 13, so important. But my broader point is that's exactly why we're reforming the system. If you want the same old stuff, we'll keep going with what Labor put in place, which was a system that put in place a co-requisite without any of the material you needed to gain that at primary and intermediate. We've done that, and now we're looking to simplify the national qualification and have that foundational award at year 11, which will simplify the whole process.
And in terms of the NCEA replacement, when will the government make a decision on that?
I'm taking papers to Cabinet as we speak.
Can I just clarify? So it's years 0 to 10, but this is also, so is it going to high schools as well, or is it just primary and intermediate?
The tool?
Yeah.
The tool is from year 3 to 8, needs to be used twice a year, but we've also made it available right up to year 10, so year 9 and 10 students can use it in high school. We've got questions in there so that high school teachers can ascertain whether or not young people are ready to sit the co-requisite, but also just as a tool to help them ascertain where they're at and what their next steps are in learning. So it's not compulsory to use in year 9 and 10, but it will be a tool that I expect, like ASTIL, will be used quite regularly.
Minister, in terms of the the definitions of these grading, the grading system, how much discussion went on? Because I see that you've consulted with a lot of education groups
Yes.
and organisations. So how did you finally get to the final wording of those 5 descriptions?
Oh, look, that was a job that the ministry did, my ministry officials and the sector working collaboratively together. And it took a while because there were lots of different views, of course, but where we landed, everybody that we worked with was happy on those descriptors and the number of descriptors.
And you feel confident that, the everyday Kiwi, the everyday New Zealand parent will be able to understand those definitions?
Well, if you look at what we have now in many reports that I've seen, they're not very detailed, and it might just say maths, tick, maths, that's it. We are providing by strand, algebra, geometry, number, by strand, children's progress over time, and there is a key to explain what each of the progress, descriptors mean. So it should be easy to understand.
There
and
is a lot of information in the pack, yeah.
Look, and no doubt it will take parents time to get used to the new reporting, but it is more detailed, it is more comprehensive, it gives them a far greater picture of their children's success, because far too often I hear from parents that, for example, their child goes to high school and they find out from the high school teacher that their children didn't know their times tables, but they never knew. With this detailed reporting, they will now know. They can help at home. There's a whole lot of information and material available on the portal.
I guess it's an advancement on the day when the Prime Minister and I were at school and we used to get A, B, C, D or E.
I think, I've talked to a lot of parents and they are so pleased with the changes that we've been making in education. Erica's done a great job starting in the 0 to 8 range in particular and making sure we're teaching those basics, getting our kids grounded in structured literacy, structured numeracy, just making sure we've got an evidence-based approach to we've got one way, same way every day across this country. And we can express that in different mediums, no doubt about it, but we actually want to have a consistency. And parents, the fact that we've got portals now available for them to actually help and support their kids at home, the fact they've got clarity about where their young person is and how they're progressing and how they can support and help is really good. I thought it was quite interesting during the COVID lockdown period. I think a lot of parents, scales fell off the eyes. They didn't quite know where exactly their child was until they were having to do some of the classroom teaching at home during the lockdown periods. And I think that has led to a real curiosity to say, hey, listen, where exactly is my young person on this journey and what more do I need to do to help them? And we know that every 6 months, that they end up falling behind. We want to use that time. We don't want that to accumulate and then actually have a situation where we arrive in high school with half our kids not at the standard they need to be at on reading and 80% not at the standard they need to be at on mathematics. So, we're choosing to make big interventions in primary and intermediate, and as you see, then NCA setting it up for a big intervention in secondary as well.
Minister, the PPTA says that you have failed to deliver promised resources for maths and English for Year 9s and Year 10s, which was promised for the middle of January, and they say that hasn't arrived. What's happening in that space?
The PPTA had a meeting with my ministry officials last week and were informed that the maths tool is out for use. I don't think they even knew about the English material that was being put out. We told them about it and we told them that it's just going through some final testing with the sector at the moment and it'll be out for use next week. So they're very well aware of that and that was always the plan.
Cool, last question, guys.
They told us that some teachers didn't even have to log in for that system, though.
All of the information has gone out.
Can I just get one technical kind of question on how the new tool works? So how much of it is automated and do teachers have to put in the data and it gets sent out?
Yeah, this is a really exciting thing. I mean, this is a modern digital examination or assessment tool for a modern education system. So if schools want to use devices and have their students do it online, they can do that. It's also completely printable, uploadable, and AI will do the marking of reading, writing and maths. The only bit it won't do is very early writing, year 3, 4 and 5. It will always need to be marked by the teacher using a rubric and then just the result entered. But everything else can be scanned, uploaded and AI marked, or they can use devices. So we're really, really attuned to the fact that some schools don't use devices or don't have devices, and so it's completely adaptable depending on what the school needs. It's really exciting.
But just
one
quickly
question on mining, Prime Minister.
Yeah, sorry, we finished with the education questions, or is there anything else? Because I want to make sure.
No, this is your old school.
Yes.
What does it feel like being
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, this is a really special school. I spent, as I said earlier, 4 years here, and to be back here amongst the kids, and it was a great school when I came through. It gave me a great grounding in the basics, and it set me up on my pathway to get a great education, go out and do well in the world. And so, that's what Erica and I want for every single kid. So it's awesome to be back here, and there's a great team of staff and wonderful kids here. So, and everyone's enthusiastic about learning, and that's what we want to see, because, we want this across all 2,500 schools across New Zealand, because honestly, there is nothing more important, and you and I spoke about this in opposition as well, is that, I feel I benefited from education. I know Erica does as well, and we want that for every single kid, because irrespective of the circumstances you come from in life, actually a great education is the thing that moves you from one set of circumstances to a better set of circumstances. And so that's why we're so focused on making sure we don't waste time, we make sure that no kids left behind, that we're doing everything we can to raise the quality of the system, to get a better quality education system in place. And we've got incredible teachers, there's incredible people that are committed to schools and committed to the kids, and we want to set our kids up for a great future. I'm not prepared to have our kids not be able to access high-paying jobs like other countries and from other countries. I want our kids to be competitive and be able to get those jobs into the future.
And just one question on mining, Prime Minister.
Yes.
The Minerals Council says New Zealand could and should open up to more mining, arguing that it can be done responsibly. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Could you elaborate?
Well, absolutely we
How
can.
do you think it can be done responsibly?
Well, there's lots of modern mining procedures by which can be done incredibly responsibly, but that's the operators that will actually determine how best they extract our minerals out of New Zealand. But, if you think about just critical minerals, where the world is going in terms of AI, superconductors, and the critical minerals that support all of that, New Zealand actually probably has, from my last look at it, 25 of the 35 critical minerals. We want to build out a critical mineral sector, absolutely. Why? Because of the future where AI is going and the need for that. But we also want to make sure we develop in our own brutal national interests, which we'll do as well. So, no, there's a great future for mining, and we need more quarrying, more mining. It's great high-paying jobs, and we don't have the luxury of saying no to growth in this country. And so, as I said to you before, it's all about economic growth, and we've got to get the show on the road.
Just quickly, if you are going to make a deal with the US and an agreement on critical minerals, can you commit to consulting the New Zealand people if you're going to do that?
Well, again, you've got yourselves way ahead of yourselves over the weekend. I read some of the media reports, pretty frothy, pretty speculative. And as I said, we know we want to develop a critical mineral sector in this country. That's definitely a big focus of our government. How we go about doing that, when we do that, those are decisions that we haven't yet taken in Cabinet. And until we do.
Could you just elaborate on what the potential benefits of a deal might be with the US?
No, because we haven't made any decisions about a deal. So I appreciate as media you want to talk about that, and you've seen reporting over the weekend, but you've got well ahead of where Cabinet is. And all I'm saying to you is we definitely want to develop a critical mineral sector, absolutely no doubt about it. We will make sure that we do that in our own national interests, as we always do. Okay, thanks team, appreciate it. Have a good day.